Hello, everyone, and God bless. This is Father Mikhail, Father Michael, with another episode of Living Orthodox. And this also comes from another FAQ, which is to expand on what is a passion. But before I get into the topic, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content. You never know, sharing this video might help other people too. Also, Father John Castillo, my brother-in-law, is planning to move to Grand Prairie, Alberta to take over the parish that he has been assigned to by His Eminence Archbishop Gabriel, and he needs your help. So if you can, please prayerfully consider donating to him and his Matushka Maria, my sister. And if you cannot, please prayerfully consider either sharing or offering prayers for Father John and Matushka Maria, because prayers also go a long way. So with that said, let's get into the topic of the video today. And I just want to preface, I am going to start doing more frequent reflections, but as a result, the shorter reflections like this, I'm not going to have a whole lot of editing, if any, in them whatsoever, because it helps me save time and it does help me to pump out more videos during the week and to answer more of these questions that I keep getting. So there are going to be more, including the how to survive in the workplace as an Orthodox Christian in the secular workplace, which I will be doing either tomorrow night or Wednesday night. So that said, what is a passion? You know, our passions are things like pride, their anger, sexual indulgence, hate, greed, avariciousness. This is a passion. And of course, there's many others that stem off from this, such as self-love, self-indulgence, judging other people, all of which do offshoot from pride. They're daughters of pride. But sin occurs when we gratify these passions by bringing them into reality through our own actions. So how does this work? Well, as I explained, self-love, self-indulgence, judgment, a lack of patience, which ultimately stems from a lack of humility, is how we bring these passions into reality through action. Or in the case of sexual indulgence, things like self-abuse, looking at pornography. These things, of course, are ways in which we bring the passions into reality, right? And same with anger. When we're angry and we allow ourselves to lose our cool, we start swearing. Maybe we swear at our loved ones. Maybe we get angry and say hurtful things we don't mean. Maybe we're driving and we're tempted to flip off the guy who cut us off. These are all ways in which we bring the passions into reality through our actions. And this is something that St. John Climacus expands upon in the latter. It was not something that God instilled in our nature. He's not the creator of passions. God isn't the author of evil. It's not as sometimes in certain Calvinistic dialogues you'll find where there's this notion that God uses the fall to show forth his goodness. That's a false dichotomy. God is all good. There's no shadow of turning, and he has no need, no contingency. Those who teach that passions are natural, these people we have to be careful, because those who teach that passions are natural are wrong. They do not realize that it is we who have turned natural things into passions. For example, in terms of our nature, we have within us seed necessary for childbearing, right? Childbearing is good. Nature gives us the feeling of anger when we are supposed to use it properly, that is, against evil. We should only allow our anger to be aroused in response to even the temptations of the devil. It'd be better that when the devil starts tempting you with a passion, for you to get angry at him, to divert that and get angry at him and say, I know who you are, I know where you're coming from, and then start praying the Jesus prayer. When we give in to anger and use it against our neighbor, this is a perversion. We can get angry at blasphemous things. We can get angry at what is said to show that we reject this, to cut a hard line, to try and snap some sense into the person, but we mustn't insult them or try to injure them into the point of arousing their anger. Sometimes we have to say stern things to try to get them to reflect and look upon themselves when they're being ignorant. But we have to be very careful not to allow ourselves to want to induce harm in another person. We want to make use of the rational powers of our soul to constantly turn back to God. Pleasure and pain and the desire and fear that accompany them, which is common with all passions and with just being human, were not originally created together with human nature, to be clear. That is, before the fall, man, according to St. Gregory of Nyssa, has said that they were introduced after our being had lost the inherent perfection of its nature. And why was there an inherent perfection of the nature? Because we were made to be in the image and likeness of God. It was having been grafted upon that part of us which is least rational. It is through these pleasures and pain, as he says, that immediately after the transgression of the commandment, our likeness to dumb animals instead of the blessed image of God became visibly and clearly manifest. And this is something that I believe St. Maximus the Confessor points out, and I think it's in his contemplative and active text. I think some of which might be found in Philokalia, Volume 2. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But in other words, at the time of the fall, the rational, knowing, discerning part of our nature became darkened. We began to be motivated by irrationality. We became animal-like, desiring pleasure, not desiring righteousness. That is why, even though a lot of people will object to the notion of fasting or prostrations or other ascetical disciplines in the Orthodox Christian toolkit, these people don't realize that this is actually a way in which to return us to our natural state, that this is to keep everything in subjugation to God, that we bring the body into the subjugation under the soul, so that the soul might not be tempted into the sins of the body, right? Things like anger, things like these intense emotions we feel, these are actually carnal things. These are things that are stirred within our flesh. This is why when you get angry, your face might get red. When you are aroused by lust, why your pulse quickens, or your hands start to sweat. It's an irrational thing. There's the irrational desire for pleasure and the avoidance of pain, rather than the rational love of God, which is the surrender of all things worldly. St. Maximus the Confessor, in his text on love, points out that if we are still clinging to the things of this world, we won't ascend to the things of heaven. We won't have love for God. We cannot even have proper love for God, he says, if we remain distracted in prayer. If when we're praying, our mind is just going to all the cares and worries of this world, and the devil will tempt you with this. Get angry at him. Don't react and start carrying on like some of these airport vineyard types did back in the day, but pray. Really encapsulate yourself in the prayer. Look at the words of the prayer. Look at the words of the prayer of the prayers of Saint Basil the Great that are in the morning prayer rule in the Russian tradition. These prayers are incredibly beneficial to us. They highlight the majesty of God. They magnify and glorify his majesty, and then they remind us why we need his help. They help us to get to this point where we supplicate God earnestly for his grace, for his help, without rambling and saying the same thing over and over and over again, and thus truly falling into vain, repetitious prayer. So therefore, what do we do? What do we do? We who wish to achieve the life of Christianity with any great, thoughtfulness and thoroughness on the matter, we must, before anything else, cultivate with all of our strength the part of the soul which discerns and discriminates. This is sometimes referred to as the nous. In this way, we will acquire a delicate sense of the difference between good and evil. Right? By using this power of discernment as a kind of eye that we might keep free from any union with the passions, with the sins that we might be tempted to commit. We have to constantly strive for that inner stillness where when the passions come, when they come knocking, when the temptation comes, we know where it's coming from and we respond adequately. Do we give in or do we hold out? One of the best things to do with both anger and lust is to prolong it. When you're angry, walk away. Go somewhere, walk away. Turn away from the thing. When you're struggling with lust, do everything you can to avoid it. Go and pray. Saint Joseph the Hesychast even mentions, you can smack yourself on the inside of your thigh or something. A little shock, a little pain like that won't hurt. Go take a cold shower, like an ice cold shower, or just run your head under a cold tap. That'll snap you out of it. But immediately take notice of what it is that tempts you, and knowing that that's what's going to set you off, whether it's with anger, it's with lust, it's with gluttony, turn from it. If having certain food items in the house is going to be a temptation, and we'll get into this in a separate talk on gluttony, but even just desiring to have a taste when you have no need to eat, you're just wanting to taste, that this is the doorway to gluttony. I mean, come on. How did man fall into sin in the garden? He ate. He ate. So we have to look at this, that gluttony is actually the foundation of all the passions. So we have to be watchful going forward. So what is one of the best things we can do? We need to know the Gospels. St. Ignatius Brianchaninov talks about this. How can we be good sheep if we do not know the voice of our shepherd? But more than that, we also need to understand the scriptures. And this is why we should not read without the help of the Holy Fathers. Many times I've recommended the Orthodox Study Bible or the Holy Apostles Convent translation of the Gospels that you can order from them. Sometimes you can get it on Amazon. Most times you can find it in the church supply store on the Jordanville Holy Trinity Monastery website. So with that said, dear ones, be watchful. Maybe do some spiritual accounting tonight. Maybe do some reflecting and think, okay, what are things that I struggle with? And try to think really hard about what those things are that set you off in those directions, and maybe write them down. And then, as you're going through the week, if you fall into these sins, try to note when this happens, how this happens, what excites you, and try to avoid bringing those passions into reality. Try to avoid letting them take a hold of you. Do not get caught up in this, in unforgiveness. Do not get caught up in self-love and self-pity and lust. Do everything you can. Read the gospel, read the lives of saints. Try to apply what you see in the lives of saints. Try to apply that love, that fervor, that zeal for God, and apply it to your own life. And just take stock of everything, even the foods you eat. Take note and say, okay, I had beef for dinner tonight and I noticed I'm more temperamental. Well, maybe you should avoid having as much beef. Just find ways in which to try to discourage the passions from taking root. Anyways, I wanted to, I'll leave it off on there. The best way to keep this up as well, go to confession, go to church, listen to the words of the prayers of the scriptures, and allow it to really penetrate your soul. Read your life with them, as St. Eustace Popovich would say. Read your life into the scriptures. Read it with your life. See what you're lacking. Don't look for things to affirm you, because then that's how we delude ourselves. It's how we fall into pride. So anyways, dear ones, thank you for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I got to get up early in the morning, so I'm signing off. God bless you all, and have a wonderful night.